So it's been looking like we've got a lot of new players in the game, or some that are just very curious. A lot of our comments on YouTube, either on videos or in stream, people asking me what kind of horse I ride and what saddle is the best. I give them my opinions on that subject, and a lot of people come back and say that's completely wrong, but I'm here to tell you, hands down, the saddle that we choose is the best saddle in the game. We're going to go through all the stats of saddles, what they all mean, and why the saddle that I recommend is the one and only that you need. Howdy Cowpoke, awesome BMX here. Thanks for checking out today's video all about saddles. Now this is a very tough subject because a lot of people have some very strong opinions on this situation, but we're going to go through all the stats of saddles, what they actually mean, how they affect your horse, and give you my recommendation for the best saddle in the game, and also some other really good saddles as well. So the biggest thing you need to know is your horse itself has two attributes, right? It has stamina and it has health. Now each of those have two separate meters as well. You have your actual core, your stamina core, and your health core in the middle, and then you have your bar that goes around both of those. Those differ for every single horse. Now when you first buy a horse, those aren't that great, and as you bond up they do get better. There are some horses that are full 100% on both. There's some that are just 100% on one and pretty close on the other, and there's some that just aren't great at all. But that doesn't really matter as long as you have the correct equipment on your horse. As you guys know, we do ride the cheapest horse in the game, so his stamina and health bars aren't the greatest, but he does fantastic for us. Now if we talk about the core itself, the stamina and health core, those do degrade at a specific amount of degradation. Yeah. Over a period of time. I don't know exactly what that is, but it's not that bad. If you just sat on the prairie on your horse with the cheapest saddle on the game that doesn't help anything at all, I'm pretty sure your cores will go red after about 20 minutes or so. Maybe a little right around, I think it's about what it is, which is not the greatest. Of course, no one wants red cores, and I have red cores all the time. People yell at me every day on stream to feed my horse, but all you gotta do is feed your horse to get your cores right back up. So it is important, but it's an easy remedy, right? I mean, even a 25-cent piece of hay that you get from the stables maximizes your health and stamina cores on your horse. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Another thing we want to look at on this horse is its speed and acceleration bars, right? If you look at these, there is a specific amount of speed and acceleration that every horse has. There's also those two grayed out bars. Those two grayed out bars are actually unlockable with stirrups, and we'll talk about that in a little bit and why that's important for our saddle recommendation as well. But those two grayed out bars are actually the full potential of that horse with stirrups, and that's one good thing to remember as we talk about that later on. Now if we take a look at a couple of the saddles in the game, there are three basic attributes that every single saddle has. We'll take a look at the new Foxmoor saddle. That's the newest saddle in the game. It is the naturalist roll saddle. It's a pretty nice looking saddle actually. But if we look at its actual stats, every saddle in the game has these three basic stats. Core drain rate for stamina, core drain rate for health, and regen rate for stamina. Now if we look at all three of those, they are all different. Every single saddle has different attributes. So on this one, the core drain rate for stamina is -32. The core drain rate for health is -22. And the regen rate for stamina is +30. Now, what does that even mean? As we stated earlier, right? Your horse will drain its cores over a period of time, even if it's just standing still, right? If you just stand still after a certain amount of time, your cores will go red and you will have to feed your horse. Don't forget to feed your horse. These stats right here actually slow that time down. Let's give it an easy thing of like 10. Let's say 10 minutes. Let's say on a normal horse, sitting bareback on the plains, its core stamina and its core health will drain from 100% to 0 in 10 minutes. That's not correct, but that's just what we're using for this video as an example. With this saddle, the Foxmoor saddle on, your stamina core drain rate will drain 32% slower. Now to figure that out, all you do is take that 10 minutes and multiply it by 1.32. That's 32% more than the 10 minutes. That makes it, I think it was 13 minutes and 20 seconds. So it allows your core to drain over a longer period of time. Same thing with your health. This saddle here would drain your health core 22% slower, which means it would take 12 minutes instead of 10 minutes for your core to go from 100% to 0. Good stats. It's always good to know that and have a saddle that has that high number in a negative, because that just means that your core will drain slower over time. But those two stats aren't really that important, because it's really easy just to feed your horse if you get down to that red, and you'll do good. The other thing you want to look at, of course, is regen rate. And this is your actual regen rate of your stamina bar that goes around your stamina core. So as you run your horse, you will see that that stamina bar slowly loses stamina, right? And when it gets all the way down to 0, your horse gets really mad and starts bucking you. Now, if you just completely stop your horse and stop, you'll slowly see that stamina start to tick back. This stat on the saddles actually increases the time or the speed that ticks back. So on this particular saddle here, on the Foxmoor saddle, the regen rate for your stamina is plus 30. That means, let's say, to go from 0 stamina all the way back to 100 stamina takes, you know, let's say a minute. Let's do, yeah, a minute. Let's just say it takes a minute. It does take longer than that. Then with this saddle on there, it'll go 30% faster. So, I mean, math-wise, that's probably, let's see, I would say 40 seconds or so. So it'd be 40 seconds to go all the way around there instead of 10, which is good. I mean, that's a great stat if you run your stamina all the way down and you need to get your stamina back. You stop for a few seconds, and having a great saddle with a good regen rate actually will get that stamina all the way back around, and that's really good. But it's not that important if you don't run your stamina down, and that's what we're going to be talking about here later in the video. So real quick, we'll run through a few of the roll saddles. I really like pushing the roll saddles a lot, because those saddles actually are not player rank locked. So a player could load the game up today, buy any of the rolls, and immediately have access to these saddles. That's pretty awesome. You need to have some money and whatnot. So, I mean, you got to grind some money a little bit, but you do have immediate access to these saddles within the rolls once you unlock them. We were looking at the Foxmoor. It's got negative 32, negative 22, plus 30, not too bad. We can look at the Ivor saddle. This is the Moonshiner saddle, negative 34, a little better there. I mean, not too much, 2%. It's got a negative 24 and a plus 24. Its regen's a little slower. If we take a look at the Bounty Hunter saddle, everyone thought this one was really great because it had a plus 32 regen rate, which is really good. But I'll explain later why that doesn't even really matter. It does have a negative 22 on both the core drains. Then we have the Trader saddle, I believe here, the Fletcher saddle, and it shows a negative 28, negative 28, plus 26. Good numbers, about average. All the roll saddles are way better than any saddle you can get in the game as a low rank, you know, up to rank 30 to 40 or so, and then even higher to get some of the higher saddles. So that's why I do highly recommend them. They are pretty dang good. Then if we take a look at the McKinley saddle, that is the collector saddle. It's sitting at negative 34, negative 34, which I think is the best for the core drain rates, which is, I used to run the saddle. I actually use the saddle I ran when I don't run my main saddle, and then a plus 20 regen. It's low, but again, we'll talk about why that doesn't even matter. If we do take a look at some of the most expensive saddles in the game that a lot of people say are the best, we can take a look at the Panther saddle. The Panther saddle has a core drain of negative 26, on the stamina. On the health, it's negative 20, and on the regen, it's plus 24, and that costs 18 gold bars. We just looked at some of the saddles for the rolls, and they were actually better than that. So people say the Panther saddle is the best. It's not even close. If we take a look over here at the Rattlesnake Varquire saddle, it's 20 gold, and it's got negative 24, negative 22, and plus 24. Now, we just looked at some of the roll saddles, and you guys can immediately say that some of those saddles are much better than those in these 3 basic stats. You may like to look at it, then you're going to be paying 20 gold bars because it looks like a rattlesnake. All right, after you buy your saddle, you want to go over to your stirrups because that actually starts increasing stuff. Now, if we look at stirrups right now, you could see that there's actually another stat down here. It's called drain rate, stamina drain rate. That does not, it's not regen rate, it's not core drain rate, that is stamina drain rate, which means the speed at which your stamina bar around your stamina core drains. So if we look at these stirrups, you do unlock these for players as far as player level, and they increase in price as well as their effectiveness. If we take a look at the first ones you can purchase, they have a negative 5% drain rate. That means your stamina bar will drain 5% slower. If we look more at them, it goes up even more. And then there's also some more stuff we'll look at. Here we have negative 10 drain rate on the slime line iron stirrups. We have negative 15 drain rate, and I want to show you guys something else here. If you guys didn't notice, now you can see that first grayed out extra potential of your horse just went gold, right? So now this stirrups on any saddle will give you a negative 15 drain rate, and it will give you that first extra potential in speed and acceleration on the horse that this saddle is on. If we take a look at more, you can see that they actually go even better. If we go down to the deep romper stirrups, you can actually see it's negative 20. So it's getting better and better, which is fantastic. If we go to the belled ox bore stirrups, it jumps up to 25. You can see a small little increments here, right? Not too bad. The ox bore goes up to 30. If we go to the bell stirrups here, you guys can see that we jumped to 35%. And did you notice it right there? The speed and acceleration, we got that second unlockable stat there. Now we have 2 gold stats on our horse to make its speed and acceleration even faster. So that's what the stirrups are doing here. They're making your drain rate of your stamina actually drain slower and bring that up. And then it gets even better. If we go all the way up, we got 45% drain rate. And then if we go all the way to the best stirrups that are in the game, the hooded stirrups, you actually will see it jump again all the way up to 50%. It goes up to 50% and gives you 2 extra bars on your speed and acceleration. That makes any horse in the game, bump up its speed and acceleration. So this drain rate is what we want to look at because that's what makes the next saddle we're going to show you even better. So again, like we said, your drain rate on your stamina is how fast your actual stamina drains. So if you have a horse that allows you to have a 100% stamina bar, and if you're running non-stop, it takes you, let's say, 5 minutes to drain your stamina all the way from 100 down to 0 and make your horse start bucking. With these stirrups on your saddle, it actually will make that last 45% longer. It'll actually make it so you can, run for almost 10 minutes at the same time. So here it is, Cowpoke. This is what I want to show you. This is why I state every single time, hands down, the nacogdoches saddle is the best saddle in the game. And it's called, I'm going to look at it real quick. Nacogdoches. It looks like nacogdoches to me, right? I mean, come on now. Now, if you look at this saddle, you can already see quickly, this saddle has 4 stats. It doesn't have 3 like every single other saddle in the game. It has 4 stats. The one that it has in there is kind of hidden in the middle. As you can see, it has a stamina drain rate. Stamina drain rate, just like the stirrups. Negative 35% stamina drain rate. Now, if you take that stamina drain rate on this saddle and put those hooded stirrups on it, which have a negative 50, you will have a negative 85% drain rate on your saddle on your horse. That means that your horse's stamina drains 85% slower than any other saddle in the game. 85%. So everybody's gonna say, hey Austin, that's only got a plus 20 regen rate. That's not that good. It has a negative 18 core and a negative 20 core. Yes, the core drain rates aren't the greatest on this saddle, but like I said, even with this saddle, I tested it before I made this video when we got some of this footage here, and I sat on this horse in the prairie for, an hour just sitting there, and my cores didn't drain out. And like I said, if your cores drain out, it's a 25% piece of hay to raise it back up. But to get your stamina to drain slower, it's uncompromisable to what stats you lose to gain that in this saddle. And of course, yes, the regen rate is a lot slower than some of the other saddles. A lot of the roll saddles have a way better regen rate, but if you never run your stamina all the way down, because your drain rate of your stamina on this saddle with hooded stirrups is 85%, you're never going to have to worry about regenning it because you never run out of it. But there's more. If you made it to the end of this video, we're going to give you the one last little tip that's going to knock it over the wall for you guys about this saddle. This saddle has the same stat as stirrups, correct? The regen rate. Now, remember what happens in the stirrup list while you're going through them in maximizing your stirrups, right? Your percentage goes up a little bit more, but then what happens? You gain one of those extra hidden spots, those extra little gray spots on your horse's speed, correct? This saddle gives you one of those automatically hidden. If you look right here at Morpheus, Morpheus has the nacogdoches saddle on with the hooded stirrups. If you look down at his speed and acceleration, he doesn't have 2 open slots, he's got 3. He's got an extra 3rd open slot that does not even show on your horse. All the horses in the game will only ever show 2 unlockable spots, but with this saddle on it, you can actually unlock a 3rd spot to make your speed and acceleration even better for any horse. Well, there you go, Cowpoke. That is the guide to saddles for 2020 with all the new roll saddles in the game. Really good saddles, but still the #1 saddle is the nacogdoches saddle. Get out there and get yourself some. And I haven't noticed when I was doing this that I had some vouchers in there as well, so it might even be cheap for you guys. Go check it out. If you like this video or if it helped you out, make sure to smash that like button. If you're new around here, consider subscribing to the channel for more Red Dead Online content, including tips and tricks, news updates, gameplay, just good old-fashioned fun. Hope to see you on the prairie sometime, but until then, see you later.